It's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. It's late, it's dark, and oh boy, do I have nothing better to do than talk into this microphone and keep you all entertained for what little time, or a good deal of time this time, for the evening. It is I, the MC, here to talk about a few interesting events in the recent weeks having passed on by. Speaking of passing, a good personal friend of mine and a very, very well known scholar, Muhammad Aten, a professor at both the University of Charleston and West Virginia State University, has passed. He had a extensive array of degrees, mainly dealing with theology, along with, I believe, a rather fascinating interest in occult and mythology. Mr. Aten, I believe, would say he has passed over the river. Well, I will say this: he will be missed, and perhaps be missed more than most could possibly ever believe. Outside of that, there has been some more grim and far more grisly news. Something I think Mr. Aten would be horribly, horribly offended by if he were still around. There's been an array of mass murders, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We have some sort of strangler or smotherer or some organized group who has gone around and murdered a number of the members of the Society of Interested Neighbors. Now, admittedly, I wouldn't blame some people for choking them to death because they are in some horrible, horribly horrible people when it comes to privacy. But unfortunately, I'm not one to usually speak ill of the dead, and really no one deserves what happened to them. Which surprises me that it happened at all. I've already been speaking with a few local officials, and from what I understand, this has even claimed the governor. I didn't even think he was a member of the society, but he's been choked to death like everyone else, so the state police and the FBI are now looking into the matter. I really hope they find out what happened, because who knows what's going to come down next if this is the kind of mayhem. Good Lord, you'd think an election year couldn't get any more insane. But we all have our moments of madness, don't we? But sometimes we all need a little bit of focus, and so I have here from Augur Pharmaceutical this delightful little plug. Do you need focus, ladies and gentlemen? Do you need that little extra something, that oomph, that push, that chance to just get your work done? Well, Augur Pharmaceutical presents you, humble, loyal listeners, with the chance to get the first taste, the first use of Vizio, this new drug that's just been recently distributed. I understand it hasn't received full FDA approval, but then again, they filed the paperwork, so you know how it goes. It's legal. Give it a shot. You never know what you might experience. So if you'll excuse me for a moment, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have what I promised you, an interview with one E.H. Carrington. And now I go. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, to the voice of the night. And I have here with me one E.H. Carrington.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Happy to have you, sir. I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for some time. I've read all your books.
Well, then I tremendously appreciate that. I'm sure that they've brought some enlightenment to your world.
We'll go with that. I will certainly say they were an interesting read, at the very least, sir. You've put in a great amount of effort into your endeavors, both here in this state and beyond.
I'm very proud of my work, helping others help themselves. From Dusk to Dawn, my most recent bestseller, is one of my... It's truly a culmination of decades of my methods being brought together, so I appreciate the compliment.
Now, I understand your institute's recovering from circumstances that were a bit questionable.
The fire, it wasn't officially declared an arson, although there was definitely an inquest into the matter. It was difficult, but the I took some time. Introspection is an important part of the Dusk Institute's policies and progress and procedures. So, having thought about the subjects, I've decided to become revitalized, and this partnership, the Chrysalis facility, is a culmination of that time I spent away, really thinking about how I wanted to progress.
I see. So this is more sort of an evolution of the previous outlook.
You could call it that. In much in the way the chrysalis evokes a metaphor of the butterfly, the transformation. We've moved to the final stage, you might say. We've taken the best elements and through some sort of tremendous process. We come to a new, beautiful beginning.
Oh, that's very fascinating. I understand that your facility is meant to host a number of individuals for those wishing to go through the program.
Certainly, the Chrysalis facility has a full-service hotel on site that's designed with all the luxuries to house, hundreds of people. We are preparing host conventions. We can host numerous people.
Well, splendid. Maybe sometime I'll do a show there.
That would be glorious. We'd really appreciate any time anyone wants to use our facilities.
Well, I'd be more than happy to. Maybe we'll have a discussion about that with our legal teams at some point. You know how it goes.
I have wonderful people who are willing to, I'm sure, can make the logistical arrangements work out.
Of course. Now, I understand you're a bit of a scholar on some level as well.
My background is in archaeology. Little bit of, in an earlier life, you might say, a focus on Egypt and Egyptology.
So you've heard about the recent passing of Professor Aten.
I have heard, it just came to my attention. Professor Aten and I had a previous relationship. We'd actually worked on a dig together not that long ago, about a little over a year ago, in the Valley of the Kings.
Of course, of course. It is unfortunate. He was quite a contemporary. In fact, while some considered him a quack, most considered him one of the most extensive encyclopedic knowledges on, well, aside from, the standard affairs, what some would consider more bizarre issues such as the occult.
I can have nothing but the utmost respect for Professor Aten. The depth of his knowledge was tremendous, and his attention to detail unmatched. I would like to pass on my condolences to his family and colleagues. It is a shame. The community of individuals in this area have lost a great power.
This is true. Far more true than I think most people understand. But, in either case, I understand he did a column at some point for the community.
I believe I've seen some of his portents. He was very well versed in the mythos of the Egyptian pantheon, you might say, and I'm never quite certain if he believed in it or just appreciated the poetry of it.
Of course.
But I know that he often talked about hearing the soft lapping of the river, and there was some majesty to that.
Well, of course.
I've always been partial to the desert and the red sand. That's the part of the homeland, the Egyptian homeland, that I always found most beautiful.
Yes, I absolutely understand. That area has some particularly beautiful regions, especially as you go further east. The gardens were beautiful some time ago.
Yes, I've ventured in that area before, but most of my work was in the drier regions.
Oh, but of course, few people have interest in the Crescent anymore. Still, I won't bore you with my own side interests and such things.
Are you, did you have a residence there at one time?
I lived there for a while, worked a bit of media there, this and that. But
it can be difficult in the current state of things.
Oh yes, all those items and artifacts getting blown up, stolen, or misplaced.
Well, that's what happens when you have fanatics of the current type in charge.
Indeed.
You you put on a veil and start screaming Allah Akbar, and look at what happens to these situations.
Oh, too true, too true. Still, at least we have stability here, am I right?
Charleston is a wonderful, wonderful location. I've really enjoyed the time that I've spent here. And of course, the Chrysalis facility out in bucolic and beautiful Pocahontas County, you can't beat the quiet. It's really, truly a relaxing area. A week at the Chrysalis facility is the most special experience you can ever want. It's a vacation and an empowerment simultaneously. I mean, it's truly remarkable. I recommend it highly to anyone who's interested in making unlocking the best parts of themselves.
Well, that's good to hear and good to know. And like I said, I may take you up on it myself. Still, have you had any other regional interests aside from, the standard affairs of things here? I mean, it's kind of surprising that you elected to move to the state, but
Well, there is people often ask why would you go so far afield from your previous haunts, and the answer really is that I feel a connection to the people of this wonderful, beautiful state. There truly is a hard-scrabble spirit that I respect. The southern part of the state, the coal mining tradition. In my uh, true homeland, there's been a lot of coal mining in southern England as well. But what I just appreciate the spirit, and people take for granted the power that these individuals have inside of them. They think that they're the simple country folk and that they don't have extraordinary potential. And I think that they're being overlooked. And I see something in so many of these people. That's what the Dusk Institute, that's what the Chrysalis facility wants to unleash, is that hidden potential, that power, that reservoir, the power that flows from the mountains of this state is truly unmatched. And I saw that reservoir, an untapped reservoir, and I want to unlock it. And I'm going to do that in any way that I can. If it's a single individual who comes to the Chrysalis facility, it's partnerships with local community groups to empower, it's whatever I can do to help the people of this state rise up and help themselves and achieve the greatness that's inside of them. That's what I'm interested in accomplishing.
interesting. The way you put it, though, sometimes unlocking certain outlooks and potential can be dangerous, wouldn't you say?
Well, you don't achieve greatness if you're not willing to risk what's necessary to get to that point. They don't talk about daredevils and explorers and great achievers because they were cautious and went to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening and, didn't venture outside of their comfort zone. Greatness is a willingness to challenge the mundane, to do what people say is not possible, and dare greatly and then succeed.
Well, Mr. Carrington, I will say this. It's been quite an interesting interview thus far, and I do want to thank you for it. And I can see where you have definitely gotten that talent for being an inspirational speaker, sir.
Stay tuned. I appreciate this opportunity, but there's much more from the Dusk Institute in E.H. Carrington in the very near future. I have several important announcements that we're in the works, waiting on the wings, and perhaps you'll have me back in the near future and we can talk about some of those special things that are waiting to occur.
Well, that's fantastic, and I look forward to having you here on the show again. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the MC and E.H. Carrington having a nice little chat. Let's move on to the next segment. Well, that proved to be quite an interesting and informative interview. I hope to see Mr. Carrington and his institute again soon, and perhaps some of you will give them a visit and a look. But either way, this is the MC, this is the voice of the night, and I thank you yet again for another informative evening. Be safe, be secure, and I'll see you soon.